Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share a couple of my favorite cozy fall recipes with you. You'll find the recipes in the description box, and we're starting out with chili and cornbread with a honey butter. So I'm using just the usual chili spices, sausage, as well as ground beef, mushrooms, some yellow onion, garlic, a little bit of ketchup, and then honey. You could also use brown sugar though. And then 2 cans of diced tomatoes, 2 cans of beans. I'm using black beans and a bean blend, but I would usually use red kidney beans. And then of course, corn. I love using a really big pot for chili as well as soups and stews. We're going to start out by spraying it and then cooking our meat before we add the other ingredients. I took the sausage out of the pot and put it aside, and now we're just cooking the ground beef, which is kind of nice because the fat from the beef helps lift up all those little bits of sausage that are stuck to the bottom of the pot. And as usual, Walter is waiting by the door to go outside. I just love how simple and easy this chili is. I literally just dump the entire cans of the beans, the corn, all of that with their juices. Don't even bother straining them. Just super, super easy. I would normally use tomato paste for this, but I didn't have any, so I'm using ketchup. Because there's a lot of sugar in ketchup, I did cut back on the amount of honey that I'm using, so just 1 tablespoon, whereas normally I would probably do 2, if not 3. The stock isn't fully dissolved in the liquid, so it looks kind of funny, but I'm using vegetable stock this time. Normally it would be beef stock. I didn't have any, so vegetable stock works too. Once you have everything incorporated, then you want to turn your heat down to low, put the lid on and just let it simmer for about an hour and a half. Then you want to take the lid off and let it simmer without the lid for about half hour to an hour. To go with the chili, we have a delicious cornbread with a honey butter. So first we're gonna preheat our oven to 425. We're gonna take an 8-inch pan and grease it with either avocado oil, canola oil, whatever you have. And then I just use parchment paper to spread it around the pan. A neat trick that I learned if you don't have buttermilk is to take regular milk and add either vinegar or lemon juice to it and then just let it sit for a little bit. So that's what I'm doing today. I have regular milk, 1% I think, and then I'm adding lemon juice. So for every cup of milk, you want to add 1 tablespoon of either your lemon juice or your vinegar. Walter, excuse me. Decided to film the cornbread a little bit differently just because, I don't know, I feel like I've gotten into kind of a style with my filming of cooking videos at least, where I try to like do different angles and make it all up close, and I thought this would be really fun to kind of pretend like I have a cooking show and just like walk you through the steps that I'm doing to make the honey butter cornbread for the chili. So we have the chili simmering in the background here. What we're gonna do, need these bad boys. We're gonna whisk all of our dry ingredients together in a separate bowl, and then we'll do all of our wet ingredients in the mixer and then combine them at the end. So for dry ingredients, we're gonna do a cup some yellow cornmeal. So I'm gonna put a cup of cornmeal into the bowl. If you can hear jingling in the background, I apologize, that's Walter. We got a little, like a collar with a bell on it because he is an outdoor cat now. Despite our best efforts, he decided he was an outdoor cat. So he's inside right now, but we have a collar with a little bell just so we can hear him out in the neighborhood and stuff, kind of know where he is. And then I'm gonna do 3/4 of a cup of flour. I'm not super precise when it comes to cooking and baking. I don't know if you know this about me yet, but I try to be more precise, especially with baking. And now that I share recipes on YouTube and everything, I know people want exact measurements, especially if you're new to cooking and baking, you don't know what you're doing, but around 3/4 of a cup of flour. So 3/4 of a cup of just like all-purpose flour. You could make this gluten-free and use like, I don't know, almond flour, coconut flour, but I think the ratios would be a little bit different and it might not hold together as well, might be a little more crumbly. Walter! Also, I am in a robe because I was just in my hot tub earlier and, oven's ready. Yeah, I was just in my hot tub earlier and put on my bathroom. Walter! Hello. Hello, welcome to my cooking show. My name is Walter and I make the best cornbread that there ever was. What I was saying was I'm in my bathrobe because I was in the hot tub right before this and lost track of time and figured, oh my gosh, I have to like get the chili going, get the cornbread going because my boyfriend's gonna be home from work soon. So we're cooking in our robe today, looking super cute. Next up, we got some baking powder. So I'm gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. You always wanna try and get it as level as possible when you're measuring. But you could use like a butter knife to scrape the top and make it perfect, but we all know nothing's really perfect. So 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, or baking powder. And then just half a teaspoon of baking soda. And I based this recipe off of one I found on Pinterest. Half teaspoon of baking soda, but I did make some change, like I tweaked it a little bit and like, hey, please get down. We tried to make him not go on the counter either. As you can see, cats don't like to listen to rules very well. Yeah, I'm always trying to find just like healthier alternatives for things. And I mean, sometimes you just gotta have sugar. I love sugar personally, but I do try to use like honey or monk fruit or stevia or like just more slightly healthier alternatives. So I'm using an erythritol monk fruit extract. I just got this at Costco actually, but I really like it because the ratio is like 1:1 with sugar. So if something calls for a cup of sugar, it's a cup of this too. So it's super easy to follow along. So I just do 2 tablespoons of this just to kind of bring out the sweetness of like the corn, I guess. We are gonna do half a teaspoon of salt. I know that sounds like a lot, but just, I don't know. That's it for our dry ingredients. So now we're gonna do wet ingredients. So it's just 2 eggs in the mixer. And I'm daring, I crack them right over the mixer. Another suggestion or tip from cooking shows I've watched is to do your eggs in a separate bowl just in case you get any shells in them, which is a very good tip, but less dishes is more my style. So we're just gonna lightly beat the eggs. Melted about 1/4 of a cup of butter. And normally, like the last time I made this, I think I did more, like 1/3 of a cup. This time I did less because I'm gonna do it slightly different and you'll see in a sec. So I'm just gonna do 1/4 of a cup of butter for now. And then we have our 1.5 cup of homemade buttermilk. So we're just gonna slowly incorporate, like turn this on low and slowly incorporate the milk and the butter with the eggs. You just want it like on a low speed for now. I'm just gonna scrape down the sides. And the thing with this is the first time I made it, I was like, oh, it's so runny. But as it sits, it thickens because the cornmeal slowly starts to absorb the liquid. So the longer it sits here, the thicker it gets. So yeah, as you can see, it's kind of a runny, like clumpy, not very nice looking batter, but I promise it turns into a really nice cornbread. Okay, and don't mind how gross this looks, but I'm gonna take about 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of honey and melt it. And this is why I added less butter than I normally would in the cornbread, because we're gonna poke holes in it and pour this melted stuff. I ended up using only about half of this, so you could probably get away with just 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of honey. I don't know about you, but there's something about a cool, crisp fall day with a warm, cozy bowl of chili. Of course, you have to have cornbread to go with it, and the honey butter makes it sweet and moist and just so delicious. And then if you're like me and you like to top it off with a little bit of grated cheese, that's super good too. Next up is a new favorite of ours. It's warm potato salad. This is such a good recipe, but I have to tell you right now, do not use purple potatoes. Use either just the yellow or the red-skinned ones, because as you will see at the end, the purple potatoes turn the salad purple. I've said this in my other videos, but I'm going to say it again if you haven't seen it. Always make an ice bath for your hard-boiled eggs to put in directly from the boiling water. This will help make them much easier to peel. As I said before, don't use purple potatoes because it makes it look really gross, but I promise you it was so delicious, and let me know if you try it or the other recipes. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in the next one.